Hey, everybody, welcome to the Psychic Wives podcast. I am Jerry Carabin.
And I'm Ginger Hendry.
And sorry, no, you be quiet.
Yeah.
I'm going to introduce you. We have a guest today. But I did want to say that Kathy is not with us today. She had a scheduling conflict, and we were so happy to have our guest on today. She's been here before, and we didn't want to reschedule because it's a great time for what we're talking about here. You guys who have followed us will recognize Ann Gadziala, who does a lot of different things. Oh my God, Julianne, what were you here before? She did channeling.
Oh, that was awesome.
Oh my God. And we were all ended up crying. So if you haven't seen that one, you gotta go look for that on our website or on Spotify or Apple, because that was amazing. So I'm gonna say this right now in case I forget, but I'm sure I will say it later. All of Julianne's information is already on our website, www.thepsychicwives.com. Hello, Julianne. How are you?
Always great to be back with you girls.
We're thrilled.
It's the only podcast I'll do.
Right? Do a quick little I do this.
I do this. I take care of a cat and some kittens. And they are a full-time occupation at my at-home office. I spend a lot of time working with people on spiritual development, spiritual business coaching these days. People come to me for private sessions, intuitive, psychic, mediumship, and channeling. You know, everybody can channel. I work with people individually and in groups around that. And I have a new five-part series on Monday nights, starting at the end of January. I think it's January 23rd, where we do 3-hour Zooms and we have a lot of fun. We're in Zoom rooms. I usually get a good group and learn more.
Is it like a circle, or is it a class? It's
a Zoom. It's a Zoom, and it's a 5-part channeling series. So you learn about channeling and automatic writing, but we do a lot of breakouts and a lot of everybody seems to, many people, be a reader, intuitive one way or another. So we kind of bring it all together. So I have that starting, but that's on my website. That
is really super cool. And you know what, I had to say this because people were so, when the whole blah, blah, blah thing happened and everybody had to go to Zoom and all that stuff. And people were like, Zoom, Zoom, Zoom. And now we like live for it. You know what I mean? Like you can do anything on Zoom. And I love the breakout rooms. I love that you said that, because a lot of people don't know what like the breakout rooms, like what? So you could be in a Zoom with 10 people. And if you're in Julianne's this series of classes, she can pair you up with somebody and put you in a different room. And so now it's just you and that other person working one-on-one and practicing and everything. So those things are super cool. A lot of people don't know about breakout rooms. I was thrilled the first time. I was like, what? We can do what? That. So anyway, tell us what you're here to talk about today, because this is a great topic and it's perfect for the new year.
Well, I'm here today to talk about burning bowl ceremonies. Burning bowl ceremonies have been around for centuries. You know, it's a ritual where you're releasing that doesn't serve you, and you're bringing in like your bright future. You're making space for your next bright opportunities and healing and all sorts of things to come in. And some people may have encountered it in like the UCC churches. They have not real candles, they do, but they will have, the lit up ones, and they'll write things on papers and release. But pretty much you have to be in a place where you want to look at some things that don't serve you, because it's really important that you make space first by moving those out. Same as now, we're all cleaning closets. We're all thinking about what am I going to move? What am I going to do now? Well, think about cleaning a closet that has a spiritual tick to it. That's all.
Yeah, I love this. And so we did talk about like fire ceremony once before when you were on here, but I love that we're kind of honing in on exactly what you just said. And Ginger and I have talked about this before, and I'm so glad you said that, because sometimes I think I'm the weird one. Like we literally on Sunday took the Christmas tree down, and my husband said, okay, what do you want to move? Because he knows me, and he knows me on January. It's like for some reason, things have to move. I shifted my office a couple of weeks ago. We shifted the living room.
Nice feng shui, yeah.
It's, and I don't know if it's, spiritually, energetically, it does something for me, because it does what you're saying. I'm getting rid of this, I'm getting rid of this, and I'm making space. So keep talking
So
about
you're
that.
getting rid of those things external to you, and you're getting rid of things that are energetically taking space in your home or office. So it's equally important to the same degree to release that we're holding inside emotionally, memory wise, emotion wise, because a lot of us, particularly coming off the, these post-pandemic times,
Mhm.
we're holding so much in, and people feel more and more isolated, even if they're out back in the office or they're, out and about a bit more. There's this clenching, this sort of isolation in the body, in our field, in our org field that's happening.
And you know
So,
what? I think
yeah.
half the people don't. Sorry to keep interrupting,
No,
but
yeah.
that's what we do. We interrupt.
Yeah, I
I
love that.
don't think people realize that.
They don't.
Do you know what I mean? I don't
Yeah.
think that people realize that we literally have been clenching for years now. Do you know what I
We
mean?
have. And I spend
Yeah.
a lot of time telling people to find their Reiki healers and to
Yes.
find their own light inside of themselves. We're all connected to this great divinity light, regardless of what your religious affiliation is, your belief system. Our spiritual core is connected to this beautiful divinity stream. And we kind of lock it up in a cage when we're in this fear and flight kind of mode, which the pandemic was famous for all of us.
Yeah.
So ceremony
Mm.
has a great way of releasing smoke, fire, things like that. Think of when you just moved your office around, Jerry. Didn't you just what did you feel afterwards? What was the emotional
Oh,
feeling?
it's it literally feel like even now I walk into my living room and I'm like, ooh. Do you know what I mean? Like, ooh, I walk into my office and I did it 2 weeks ago and I'm like, oh,
Right.
it's space for me
Yeah.
because I moved it in a different way where when I walk in here, I'm like, oh my God, look at all this space.
Yeah.
And that feels really like clearing some way to me. I'm not sure if that's the right word I'm looking for, but it feels new. And it's not new. It's the same furniture, it's the same stuff everywhere, but it's just moved.
Well, I
You're
found
gonna
too,
feel that way. Ginger, don't you know when you release how it's that click that comes?
it does. And I was going to say, because I had this conversation with Julianne, we did a fair together, a month or so ago. And I was telling her that, in my previous business, I still belong to a lot of Facebook groups, a lot of, people on Twitter and that kind of thing from 16, 17 years ago that I'm connected to. And I don't do that business anymore. And I haven't for a few years, but I couldn't let it go. I felt so uncomfortable. And New Year's Eve, I disconnected from all of that.
Oh, wow.
Oh, I didn't know that, Ginger.
Yeah.
That
Well
is
done.
beautiful.
Well
And I
done.
think that's really great that you said that because
Yeah.
that's the same thing
Yes.
as moving the furniture,
Yes.
as doing that. So I love that. That is so
Yeah.
good. So good.
So on the vein of that, it's important that energetically, when we've removed so much, that we replace it with what our future intentions are. What are, how do we want to serve humanity, society, our family, ourselves? How do we want to be of service in different ways? Because I think that we forget about that. We're here to be of service.
Absolutely.
And that can be in your occupation. You can have a service-oriented occupation, or it's also about inside ourselves. People think they need to go to a reader, to get divine information and
Yeah.
to look at the future. But how many people do we know that we really have that deep knowing, that intuition? We're able to bubble that up.
Yeah.
So we can go among our family. So we're healing our family, our friends. We're all doing this exchange energetically all the time.
Yeah.
I think it's realizing now. Ginger, for example, have you put energy into what that space that you just cleared out in social media is going to mean?
Yes. And I know this is going to sound funny, but Jerry and I have had this conversation. I always used a planner in the past, but the last few years, I haven't used a planner. I haven't done, in my head, I have things, and so we bought the same planner. And I'm working on my goals now for someday, for this year, for this quarter, sort of breaking down things. So I'm much more focused. And I don't feel like I have that energy still kind of on my
Yeah.
It wasn't that it was on my back, but I was still attached to it,
It
somehow.
feels lighter.
Yes.
It feels
Yeah.
lighter. It feels lighter. So, Julianne, we had talked before the last time we talked, because we've had this conversation sort of before. So, as a shamanic practitioner, we always do fire ceremony on the new moon and the full moon. Okay.
Yeah.
So, but this doesn't have to be just a new moon and a full moon. Like, obviously, this is the perfect time to do it because it's the
Yeah,
beginning
it's in
of
any,
the year.
it really is
Right.
about any time.
Yeah.
And I should have mentioned before, I do have a handout. I have a very particular way I do a burning bowl, because the phrasing that you put is so important. How you
Yeah.
phrase it. People think you just sort of like it's about images, and I have a very powerful way that's my system. So I'll send it to you after this, and you can post it. It's a PDF or it's a Word doc. You can make it a
Awesome.
PDF, perhaps.
Awesome.
And you can post it on your site. But anytime that you're positioned for change is a great time to do a burning bowl. And see, there's a difference. Some people will do an initial burning bowl that's about encompassing sort of who I am right now in my life. You know, my life, I'm releasing these like major things.
Yeah.
It's what I'm grateful for, you know, the family, the friends, the abundance, the ability to overcome your obstacles, the health scare that you got the other side of, your ability to get forward in your grief over the loss of a loved one. I mean, we have a lot of things that we're grateful for. Our ability to recognize our loved ones in spirit, as well as, you know, how they were here in earth form. So there are so many complexions of this, but some people will do a burning bowl on a broad sense. Some will do it on a quarterly sense. Some will do it every quarter. Like, this is what I'm grateful for today. And over the next 3 months, this is what I'm releasing that could interfere with my progress over the next 3 months. These are the things I'm manifesting in. So it could be that, or you can do it as an annual. So there are some people, when they're working through loss of, you know, they're in a grief process, a relationship, a divorce, death of a loved one, loss of a job, loss of an income, loss of a home.
I love that you're saying all these things, because I think for people that are just hearing about stuff like this, like, oh God, that sounds good, and they don't realize what it can be used for.
Yeah, it's not all woo-woo. Sometimes people are, oh, spiritual stuff.
Yeah,
I'm not into that.
It can be used for anything. So can you give us okay, first I do this, then I
sure
do a
and that's in my handout as well. That
cool.
Have. This is not my portrayal of a burning bowl is not the same as a sacred ceremony shamanic, which actually you may have one of your own that you have, Jerry. You might want to post that. If you see one on there as well. This is more of a festive, I call it, or more. It's about having high energy, and everything I say. Just remember, you can also flip it and play very spiritual music and have chanting in the background, and be very in that mindful space. But this presentation that I have is really more about either by yourself or with others. I always say, at least, you know, where 2 or more of us are gathered. I'm a big believer in that. What you wind up writing and sharing doesn't necessarily have to be shared with the people you're with. So understand that. But the group energy that pulsates is so strong for forward movement and change that I always advocate doing it with others. And kids are great at this too. You know, teaching
kids are
them.
great at this, because they don't have the inhibitions that adults have. Kids are great at this. They're like, sweet. Yeah, they love it.
So you want to get around flameage, fires. So whether that's a gas grill, a fireplace, a fire pit, you can do it with a candle if you're doing it by yourself, and have little teeny pieces of paper, because it really is the intention of it. You could actually have a paper and imaginary write on it, because you put the imprint on the paper. You don't even need to really write it, and you're releasing it. But you want to be around fire, and you want to have little index cards, or little those little pads of paper that you can write on. And you make a list. First of all, you list the things that you're grateful for. That's like number one. Some people like to just make a master list. You know, all my type A people will make a master list first, and then they'll work off of that. They'll make a like little papers on the individual things. what you're grateful for. This, again, it could be, you know, my dad's chronic health condition taking a turn for the better. My work accomplishment. It can be very here and now. You know, my partner coming out of a time of stress, my husband, my wife, my whoever, making it through this hard period. I'm grateful for these things. It can be focused on a marriage, or it can be focused on a broader spectrum. So you make your list of what you're grateful for. You figure out the time period you're looking at. You know, is this for this month, this time frame, for the year? So you make that list. And then you start another list, which is what you're ready to let go of. Okay. And those are, it's really good for this one to have a master list. That's disappointment in yourself or others, old hurts, old grievances, you know, those records that keep playing in your head, shoulda, coulda, woulda.
Yeah.
You know, all of those that really have played themselves out. We have secret shames that we feel that we carry on ourselves, or we feel overly responsible for. So you want to have those present in your mind, because you're going to write statements like that are releasing statements. My allowing boom, boom, boom to hurt me. You're releasing that. My refusal to see clearly about this situation, ... You know, my inability to speak my truth to myself around.
Yeah. So what you're saying when you're writing it, you're saying, I am releasing.
It's me, my, I.
I am releasing blah, 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 blah. And those are the things that you're writing down. And you're writing them down on individual pieces of paper, correct?
Right. It's helpful to have a master list. Some people like to keep a master list for each thing, just so they can look back at the end of the year.
Right.
Or look
and then
back.
You can like, oh, I got rid of that. Check.
Yes. If you're a checker, if you're a list checker, get your master list.
We are list checkers.
List checker.
You're the one for sure. And a big one, it's really important to forgive yourself. You know, I think on everybody's list, it's my inability to forgive myself about whatever. Now, the handout I have lists a bunch of examples of how to say these things. What I'm saying to you now is in the document that you can get. So that's the second thing, what you're ready to let go of, what your intention is to let go of. And then the third list is sealing in what you're ready to manifest in. So that's in your intentions, resolutions, wishes, however you want to call them.
So say you had, 5 people around the fire. Again, it's different, shamanic or whatever, but we do it in a certain way. Suppose you had 5 people around the fire. Do you all do the releasing?
So there's different ways to do it.
Around and around and around, or does it matter?
So it doesn't matter. So after you get your what you want to manifest in list, and then you write your individual pieces or little things, or can even just, some people cut the list. Yeah. They'll make a couple of lists and cut them off.
Right. Graffiti.
And burn those. Right. So you have a choice. Generally people will go section by section. So either if it's like a fire, you can all gather around the fire. And you're all burning in, you're burning in and sealing in what you're grateful for. So you all go up with your grateful papers, and together you release them.
Got it. Yeah.
You know, then you go up and you all release what you're ready to let go of. If it's a gas grill, you kind of want to go 1 or 2 at a time, you know, and just for doing the space, we don't have fire hazards, and in that manner. And the other thing is, people get really fun with this. I've had hostesses of these tell me they do things like the sentences that I say, like my inability, my this and that, they'll have everybody use those words, and everybody will go up with their paper with those words. So my inability to, but like I had somebody, she was very much type A, and she had one of those whiteboards, and she started everybody's sentence for them. She was like, okay, we're all going to do this. We're going to do.
So she had to release her inability to let go of control. Right.
My letting go of, my not listening to, my being hard on myself for. So it's like, okay, girls, everybody, we're going to go up and do what we're hard on ourselves for. And they release it that way. So it can be really fun.
That is fun. Yeah.
You know, you can take a lot of different angles with it. And I say, have your drinks, have your festive, whatever. Yeah. You don't have to be so serious, or you can be so serious. It's up to you. If you're at a point in your life where serious ceremony is important, honor it.
Now, you mentioned chanting before. I know in a again, shamanic fire ceremony,
Yeah.
there's a specific chant that we do, and you're all in a circle around the fire pit.
Great. What is it?
That's it. It's Nietzsche, Tai Tai, NUI, Oranika, hey, 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 oh, I. But it's like sung. Do you know what I mean?
Oh, I
So
love
here it is. It's really cool. So everybody's going Nietzsche, Tai Tai, NUI, Oranika.
I love
Oranika,
that.
hey, 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 oh, I. Now you have 50 people around a fire pit doing that, and there's drums.
Yeah, powerful.
It's like insane. The
Yeah.
reason I'm bringing that up is because chanting can be a really cool way to kind of boost the energy a little bit, whatever
Sure.
you're saying.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? It could be, you know, you could say, we are powerful women of the world, whatever. I don't know. You could just
You
say
can, and you can be playing that in the background as you're writing.
yes.
Some people spend a lot of time handing out the papers. Everybody has to do it in that moment. They're, 2 hours at the kitchen table together doing it. Others have to send out directions in advance and say, come to this gathering with this already
With
written
this,
out,
yeah.
with this already done.
Yeah.
You could, as you're writing, the music you're talking about could also be playing in the background.
Absolutely. And it's just and by saying that, I think we're also just giving people, it's another way to raise that vibration. Another way to raise that, you could just be standing in a circle holding hands. You
Yeah.
could be, just drumming without doing it. You could not be drumming at all. You could have bells, you could have, whatever. For some reason, for me, and it may be just because of the shamanic background, there's something about music or chanting or something that really kind of zings everything
Yeah.
up a bit, and you're really like, whoa, like feeling it. So I love that. Now, it might be the three of you just like, woo, but
Well, to your point about that, everybody together, it's important that everybody be in a reflective state. Now, I'm saying you can
yes,
be happy and bouncy and
yes,
make it more festive, but it's really time to reflect and look forward about renewing yourself as a cleanse. It's a cleansing.
yeah,
And you need to be ready. Like people, it's not like, oh, I'm running around doing all my chores all day. Oh yeah, I got to make it over to Jerry's in time for that 7 o'clock burning, and it's like, no.
there's some, even though you can
take
be fun, there's got to be some
a reflective time
reverence
before.
and reflecting of it, because it is it's a very powerful tool. It's a very powerful tool.
It is, and our mind, our alignment with others can be very strong, but you
Yeah.
have to be in the right mindset. And I teach a lot of channeling classes and spiritual development, and I always say to people, what you bring to this room, to this Zoom room or to this in-person room, is going to say a lot about what you're going to get out of this class.
Yeah.
Because if you take the time before to center yourself, to be in if you're like running around, racing around, and then you're clicking on, okay, I'm here, I'm ready. Okay, so we're going to meditate and do this now. It's like not same effect. Same thing with this. I have people that have done, and they'll be like, oh, I've been in the car for 30 minutes, just meditate. I couldn't do it at home. It's too crazy at home. So I pulled in here and I just sat quietly.
Yeah.
Somebody else did it where they actually, it was a festive, but she had a period of, I think, half an hour before where she had her downstairs, and she would say to people, feel free to come in. And it was very zen-y down there.
Yeah.
And so they could all come in and relax. And then boom, then they went upstairs and it was more festive, this and that. But they had that reflective time, because spiritually you have to be ready to release. This isn't a drive-through McDonald's. It's not, oh, I can write this down. This is like, oh, I can take this pill and I'll go away. It's not like that.
Yeah,
Well,
like
thank
like
you,
you said
Ramon.
that, even though it can be fun,
Yeah.
it is fun. And
Yep.
it's a really cool thing. But if you're gonna do it, do it.
Well, right. And the magic of the manifesting isn't necessarily going to happen if you're not ready emotionally, spiritually. So for the person that kept their list, if you're to look back 6 months from now and say, or look forward and say, looking back, a lot of these didn't happen. You have to stop and say to yourself, well, what did or didn't you do to facilitate it? Because the intention, the energy, the ceremony was to help you be ready for you to make the changes, for you on each and every day to release what you need to release.
Yeah.
Well, that's what I was just going to bring up, because I think that the ceremony, the ritual of the ceremony, whatnot, is very powerful, but there's a lot of work before it.
Yes,
There's a lot of reflection before it.
yes,
There's a
yes.
lot of inner work that needs to be done, and sometimes people get stumped on that. Like, I don't know. I don't know.
And to your point, I'm glad you brought that up again, because I think we need to reiterate what Julianne said. That work before can be really like, okay, I'm really,
Right.
for lack of a better word, I'm puking on this page here. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like,
Yep.
I'm really, and it can be really personal and really scary. So
Yeah.
just to mention what, again, reiterate what Juliana said, you don't have to, you're not like holding up your piece of paper saying, you can if you want to, maybe in some things, but you don't have to. That's your personal thing. So nobody should go to a, burning bowl ceremony thinking, oh crap, I have to share this stuff with
Right.
everybody.
You don't. You either can
don't.
or you don't, depending on the group you're with. And
Yeah.
Jerry, what's interesting is and people hire me sometimes to do this, and I'm like, you don't need me. You just need the structure. Guys don't need me.
Yeah.
But what I'll find is it's fascinating. There'll be people and they'll have like 20 things in each category. And I'll be like, it's like for an intuitive reading. People will come to me and they have this financial crises and work crises and relationship crises. And they're like, I got to throw myself into it. And I'm like, let's just slow the ship down.
Yeah. Whoa. Back it up.
What can you work up? Choose one, like the buffet, choose one first. What is the most pressing? So it's the same thing with this. So take your 20 things and make a small list. You're far better off, excuse me, if you make a smaller list and they're poignant and you keep them in your sight. And I say to back it up with a Pinterest vision board. I'm a huge believer
I love that.
in vision boards that are active. Vision boards to me, and that's a whole nother class I give, but I only do them if they're stationary. I do them on a mirror. I never do them on paper. I do them on a mirror because the reflection, like it turbos. When you put imagery on a mirror, it turbos it. But Pinterest is my favorite. You can make a private board and keep adding to it, so it's alive. So it's vibrant. It's making you think about it. Oh, I'm intentionally adding a thought to that Pinterest where it's pulsating and alive. That's a good backup because it's energetically so charged. The Pinterest community is so huge. And I say keep it private, but to add to that, I don't know if either of you've had experience with doing any of that.
Not really on Pinterest or whatever, but it's kind of the visual of the master list.
Or even if you did Insta and you were putting images and you said, you know what, I'm going to do so many, if you're really about the, social media, and for example, with Instagram, I'm going to post some images backing this up every week. No one's actually going to know that that's part of what I burned out, but I'm just going to find some great imagery for it. So it's like a secret thing. It's serving people with a quote, or you find those quotes and you start saying, I'm going to make sure that my social media post, my imagery, whether it's of my pets, everything. So all of a sudden your whole world, whether it's your world on social media or it's in the quiet of your home, it's all connected. You see it. So the energy of all of that, you're so conscious of all of that. Sure, you're going to change. Sure, you're going to feel better. You're going to let go because you're plugged in on so many levels.
Yeah. Have you had what kind of feedback or whatever have you had from people that you've done these with, afterwards?
I send my write-up about Burning Bold to many, many people. Often in readings it comes up anytime someone really has a challenge, and invariably they always send me a thank you note after. It's really nice, and they're like, I didn't realize how much I needed that. Or oftentimes it's strange in an intuitive reading, I'll see, because I get a lot of images when I do my reading, so I'll be talking to someone and as soon as I hear their voice, I see an image of a burning bowl drop in front of me. So I'm like, okay, I know you need to do this. And so many times I go, oh, I'm gathering with my friends next week. Oh, they're all coming over tomorrow night. What a good idea. Or, it's funny how, we all work in the intuitive world, and it's, how that goes where you get this little sign or this tell.
Yeah. I just love the whole renewing or something. But it's also, so we talk about different modalities and this and that and the other thing. this is another way, another tool
Yeah.
to do the work that, you know, we always say the work. You know, if anybody's listening to this and not looking at it, I'm doing those air quote things, doing the work. And people are like, what is the work? You know, this is some of the work. You know, this is a great way for anybody to do the work. Do you
Right.
know what I mean? And when we say the work, we're just saying, you know, trying to get closer to your authentic self, trying to, you know, be happy, be joyful, be, you know, appreciative, be in that higher frequency as often as possible.
Yeah.
That's what I call doing the work. What is it? Hashtag living my best life. You know what I mean? Like,
Well,
that's
it's true, you know, and Jerry, what you're saying about doing our work, you know, again, in private sessions people have with me, that people expend a lot of energy talking about changing their husband, changing their wife, changing their children, changing. And, you know, the burning bowl, the why I say it's me, my stuff, we forget that we can only be the change and the example and the energy of the change within ourselves. You know, if
I
that
get clients like that all the
those
time.
changes, you know, if we make those changes, others will spot it.
Exactly. And
But
I get
don't
that
you
all the
find
time.
people
Like,
resistant? Yeah,
how can I stop this situation from
right,
happening? He's doing this, she's doing this,
right.
he's doing this. It's not about them, it's about you. And it's a really good thing that you brought up, because sometimes I have people that that's like, but that doesn't make sense. Like,
Right.
And I've been using this for some reason. This keeps coming up in my readings and stuff. When you're on a plane, put your mask on first before you help
Yes,
them. Do you
that's
know what I mean? Because
beautiful.
if
Yeah,
I'm not my best self, or as close
yep.
to as possible, I certainly don't want anybody to think that, we're striving for perfection here, because in my world, if you're perfect, you're dead. And it doesn't, perfection doesn't exist. I mean, it exists in tiny little moments, probably, but
Yeah,
if like, oh, I'm done, well,
yeah.
bye, like you're dead. So we're not going for that perfection. We're just constantly leading edge, constantly trying to grow and whatever. So if we do that, and if we are bringing ourselves as close to joy, appreciation, gratitude, whatever, the higher on that emotional
Mhm.
scale, then I always say this too, the people around you, there's going to be two things that are going to happen. One, they're not going to be a match to you, and they're going to leave, which, if there's a really negative person in your life, maybe that's a good thing. Do you know what I'm saying? The other thing they're going to do is they're going to say, I want what she's having.
Perfect.
Do you know
Yeah,
what I mean? So that is, we lead by example.
yeah.
We do this, we feel better. Somebody else says, what are you doing? You look great. What are you doing?
What's the
And
magic?
what's the magic? And there's
Yep.
that being of service, right?
And intuitively, this is the year we need to be of service. I say listen less to dark information and focus more on how we can be of service, because it's our light, it's everybody's light that's going to help vanquish a lot of the crazy that's going on around this planet.
Yeah, and the crazy's been going on too long.
Yeah.
Because I think, like we said at the beginning, we're all like this still,
Yeah.
tight and clenched, and we don't even know it. And every day somebody says the P word, pandemic. No, okay, move on. Do you know what I
Yeah.
mean? Let's all,
We are PP, we are post. We are post.
yes, let's just move forward. Do you know what I mean? Of being, instead of staying back there, this forward movement, this changing, let's letting go of things. Let's changing your office space, changing your, whatever is it's a clearing, and it's an acknowledging first.
That
You're
is,
acknowledging, I need to let this shit go, whatever that is. And then,
and it may be one relationship, one thing with our physical body, one
yeah,
thing in our home, one thing with our children. It may be a handful of things that you're releasing, we're releasing our inner thoughts, emotions, behaviors around that make this huge difference.
absolutely. And it doesn't matter if I'm releasing 25 things and Ginger's only releasing 3.
Right.
That doesn't mean I'm worse than Ginger. It doesn't mean anything.
Well, and
And
most
you may
of,
be, go ahead, Ginger.
I was going to say, and most of, I think what we look at, or what holds us back is ego driven, right? It's not soul related. And so a lot of this work is looking at the ego, trying to step back from the ego and let the soul come through. That we talk about
Yeah.
authenticity, that's the authenticity, that's what shines, that's what people see. And that's what really leaves us open enough to move forward. It's our ego that, I don't know, tries to protect us, I guess, in some way, but it also holds us back.
But I'm glad you brought that up, because don't you think, Julianne, sometimes when we can go to the burning bowl and say, I'm releasing blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
You are releasing, this is probably exactly what you were saying. You are releasing, some of those pieces are ego driven.
They are.
And so.
And they're not easily let go of.
Right.
So in the way of, through my social media, through an intention, through a vision board, vision mirror, vision where I am continuing to be conscious of this belief, perhaps limiting belief, that I'm carrying with me. And I'm going to continue to be in the vein of that release it. You can bring the memory of the burning bowl back to you. Yeah. And it's the same way in mediumship. I tell people oftentimes to go in through a memory. The easiest way to feel your loved one in spirit is to start by reaching out to them through a beautiful memory. Mm. So I think the memory of the burning bowl is just as potent. Go in to close your eyes for a second. When you're struggling with that which you thought you could have just released that day. Oh, I released it with the bowl. Well, it's not that simple.
Right.
But bring that bowl moment up for you. If you're in a relationship that you write down, oh yeah, this no longer serves me, and you're releasing it, and you're still in that relationship 6 months, 12 months, a year later, it's not, oh, the burning bowl, because I'll have people say that, well, it didn't work for me. Oh, that ceremony of yours didn't work for me. Well,
yeah.
What did you do around it?
Exactly. What did you do around it?
Forget post-pandemic, post-ceremony.
Right. But then also, I invite people to be kind to themselves around that. Because, okay, maybe that you're still in that, 6 months later, you're still in that ceremony, but maybe there was a shift. Maybe you're a little bit closer. Do you know what I mean? Be kind to yourself, because it's not always sweet. Be kind to yourself. Maybe things are slightly better, or you've moved in a certain direction, or whatever. And okay, movement is good, because some of these things are big.
And maybe you are moving toward one of the things you burned, but there's so many steps along the way, but you're in that movement. Right. And maybe it won't take 6 months. Maybe it will take a year. Maybe it will take a bit longer, but everything in you shifts as you're conscious and you're making the changes and inside yourself that you need to.
Yeah. So you kind of have to do that, enjoy the journey thing.
Absolutely.
With things like this, because you can't just expect it to just like, okay, that was it. Boom. You're, okay. Yeah, here I am 6 months, but where was I 3 months ago? Do you know what I mean? So I am enjoying the fact that I am releasing a little bit more and a little bit more and a little bit more, and I'm feeling a little bit better and I'm a little bit better, or relief or something like that. So be kind to yourself about this stuff.
The amen to that.
Yeah. Oh my God, Julianne, this is good. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. The energy with the three of us right now in this moment is so strong. It's just like, I'm being hypnotized. Just feeling the energy within this little tribe.
Yeah. And here's the thing. I love when we have conversations like this, because Julianne, you'll say something a certain way and I'm like, oh God, I like that. Do you know what I mean? I've been saying it in a different way, but she'll use different words and I'll be like, ooh, because they're, oh my God, that feels way more powerful to me than the word I was using. Do you know what I mean? So that's one of the reasons why we've done this podcast, tried to do this podcast, is just even that. If one person says, oh my God, even if one person tonight lights a candle and puts a piece of paper in it, sweet. Do you know what I mean?
Well, the thing is, and we probably didn't say it at the very beginning, but this is our first podcast of 2023.
Yeah.
And that's
welcome.
Yes.
And so happy 2023 to anybody who's listening. But this is a great way, to start. It's a great way to have that reflection
Yeah.
to make the movement forward that we want to make. And baby
Yeah.
steps are just as good as a giant leap, right?
No
As long as we're
judgments.
moving.
No judgments. And this is not resolution. Like, this
Yeah.
is not like I'm making my resolution. You know, I've already seen memes on Facebook with like, you know, okay, already gone, the resolution. Do you know what I mean? Like funny things about like, you know, that lasted a day, you know, or something like that. But it's there's a little bit more reflection behind it than I'm gonna not eat sugar,
Right.
you know, or
Right.
whatever. So yeah, it's a wonderful time to do it, but also yeah, I'm one of those people, and Ginger and I are kind of like that a little bit with our plan or whatever. Like, oh gosh, like for me, it's like new moon, full moon, you know, like new year, you know, or but it could be some people like that, you know, that you know, the first of every month, or the first of every quarter, or the first of every season, or something like that. Those are, I'll think about things like that that are really good starting points.
Yes.
Or cleansing opportunities, or I don't know.
And it's different for everybody.
It is.
Yeah,
It's
I mean,
really
you know, honestly, we've said this a bunch of times as well. It doesn't have to be the 1st of January or any of those things. It
Mhm.
could be next Tuesday.
Yeah. Yeah.
Every new day is a new opportunity.
Exactly.
And every new shift in your life.
Right.
Exactly. That's what I was just going to say. Every new, like you wake up on one day and something happens. Well, that's what Julianne, you were saying, you know, you lose a loved one, you lose a loved furry,
Right.
furry animal or something like that. You know what I mean? Like any day, like anything.
And you can feel
realize for the first time that you've been hanging on to this crap for 8 years, you know,
Right.
like anything, you know.
Well, you know, I'll just tell a very quick story. When I was in corporate America, and I was making very good money, so I had a hard time making the decision to leave. And it went on for, you know, 18 months, maybe even a couple of years. And I had a friend who left. She was a little bit older than me. And I ended up talking to her one day, and I said, how am I going to know when the time is right? I can't let go. And she said something that still sticks with me. And she said, you know what? One day you will literally wake up and you'll know.
Amen to that.
It doesn't tell me anything. And that's
Yep.
it's exactly what happened. Exactly.
Exactly. I say that before. I've said that in I was in an abusive relationship, and everybody was like, Jer, and I'm like, you're right. Why? And then all of a sudden I woke up one day and I said, well, this is crap. I'm out of here. Do you know what I mean? It's just, and I know what you're saying. You don't want anybody, you'll just know. Oh, you know, like, don't tell me that. I need a sign.
Yeah,
you
that's
know?
right.
Yeah. So you just know. You wake up and like, oh, I'm going to do that today. Yeah.
Yeah. So with the burning bowl, to put Ginger's story into context, one of the things you burn away is missing my signs. You know,
Yeah.
I'm invigorating my ability to see the signs as they're given to me, to hear my inner knowledge, I admit that I miss this sometimes, you know, and I release that.
You know, it's really funny. This has nothing to do with it other than signs. And it was hysterical. It was a meme that it's like a person, you know, a picture of a person, and they're like, something like that, where it's like when you get a sign, but you want a signier sign. You know, like, no, wait,
Yeah.
you need a signier sign. You know, like it can be like a bolt of lightning, but when you get that signier sign, you're like, oh, there it is.
Right.
Yeah.
Like there's like,
well, how many times, Jerry, have we in a little chat between Kathy, Jerry, and I, something will happen. It's obviously a sign.
Yeah.
Then we text each other and say, this happened. Do you think it's a sign? And everybody's like, hello.
And
we do it.
And this is the work we do. You know what I mean? Like we work in this realm, and we're still like, what do you think this means? You know, and I'll do it and they'll be like, duh, you know, like, what the hell do you think it means, Jer? You know?
But you want somebody else too to say yes.
Yeah, exactly.
You know.
Exactly. It's like we need validation or something. Anyway, Julianne, this has been amazing. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for being our first guest of the new year.
I'm so excited. You're very welcome.
And yes, Happy New Year to everyone out there. as usual, as always, you can find us you'll find this recording on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. You also find us on our YouTube channel and our website, thepsychicwives.com, and also our Facebook page, which is at The Psychic Wives. And I think we'll maybe post that PDF on our page, or somehow figure that out, how to get
Putting it up in more than one place. Yeah.
get that to people or whatever. So thank you again so much for being here and listening to us. And so until next time,
Be well, be kind, and have a wonderful 2023. And we are going to have Julianne back as soon as we can figure out what we want to talk about next.
I know,
love
because she
it.
has
The
so much,
energy's awesome.
she has so much to talk about, but B, again, like you said, Julianne, it's a really great energetic conversation with you, no matter what we're talking about.
Oh,
And I just really love that. It's just a really great, and we haven't seen you for quite a while.
Right.
no, I don't know how we let a little time go by, but we won't.
I
do
know
that.
we haven't seen you for quite a while, so this was wonderful, refreshing. I'm absolutely just so jazzed that you were the first of this year. It's amazing.
Thank you.
So we love you. So until next time, guys. Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.